أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى يوم الدين. I congratulate you, brothers and sisters, for the wiladat and the birth anniversary of the Savior of mankind, Imam Mahdi Ajjallah Ta'ala Faraja. The belief in Mahdawiyya, the belief in Mahdism, is something that is fitri, which is something that is innate and natural in all human beings. When something is fitri, it means that it is timeless, that all generations of people believe in such a concept, and it is not specific to a specific region, and it is not only, say, for example, in the Middle East. You see that the belief in a savior, a person that will come and save the world from injustice, a person that will come and make the world perfect, is something that is believed in the hearts of all people, that everyone wants a savior, everyone desires a savior, and that at all times people wanted a savior. So we could say the belief in Mahdawiyyat or Mahdism, besides all the other proofs that we have, that it being inside the Quran and with its explanation, over 100 verses in the Quran allude to the fact that Imam Mahdi Ajjallah Ta'ala Faraja will come back and exist. And also more than 1,000 narrations about Imam Mahdi, or about 1,000 narrations. So therefore we see that the concept of the Mahdawiyyat is fitri, and all of us are inclined. And that is why when we are honored in such a day to either speak about Imam Mahdi or to get prepared for his wiladat, it really is exciting. It really is true happiness for us, because we're celebrating not only the birth of an infallible Imam, but we're also celebrating the birth of the person that will bring the world into absolute completion. As we read in Az-Ziyarat Ali Yasin, Assalamu alayka Allah, Imam Mahdi is peace be upon you, O the caller of Allah, O the person that will call the people towards God. Wa Rabbaniya ayatin, and the place of the manifestation of his signs. Or you could translate it this way, Wa Rabbaniya ayati, the one who completes his signs, the one that will take people into perfection. See, brothers and sisters, sometimes we get used to the situation that we're in. Either it's good or bad, or we get used to a situation very easily. And if we really look at it and you take a step away from the life that you have right now, the current situation, you realize that this was not what was meant to be, that we were not meant to be deprived physically from benefiting from the Imam, even though we benefit from him extremely when it comes to spirituality and the spiritual benefits that in the faith and the blessings that Imam Mahdi showers us through, that God gives permission to, and that we are blessed by him. But we were not meant to be, as we have in the traditions, orphan of Ali Muhammad, as the yatim, because each person needs to see their Imam. Each person needs to be able to ask questions, those that want to. Look at how many narrators and companions we have. They would travel different cities. They would travel vast distances to see their holy Imam, to ask him their questions. And the Imam wouldn't tell them, I don't know. I don't know the answer. He would give them the answer. So all of us are missing from Rabbaniya ayat, the person that will complete us. If you really think about it, how much completion do you have right now? How much completion would you have if you are next to Imam Mahdi and benefiting from him speaking, benefiting from his looking at his actions, benefiting from watching the way that he treats people. So obviously, when you really think about this, you see that we have gotten used to living without Imam Mahdi physically. And that when 15th of Sha'ban comes, again, everyone, the hopes are high again. And we don't want the Faraj only to happen this year. We're saying we want the Faraj to happen right now. And we don't want any minute or any second in delay. So how can we be, as lovers of the Ahlul Bayt, how can we be true awaiters? How can we truly wait for Imam Mahdi? Is awaiting something that it just takes a long time and you just have to wait and you just sit down and continue with your life until you get blessed with him reemerging or uprising? Or does awaiting have another type of meaning, and that you are actively, you're participating in bringing Imam Mahdi back? When we look at the Holy Quran, you see one answer we can give. Inna Allah la yughayyir ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. So, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change, indeed Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change it, until they change what is in themselves, until they change Surah Ayah 11. Until people change themselves, then Allah will change the condition. So according to this verse, we have to strive to change ourselves. We have to strive to change society, to make society aware of Imam Mahdi, make society aware of his goals, make society be prepared for him coming so that he can come. So the answer to this question is that yes, it's wrong to just wait to see if Imam Mahdi is going to come. And when he's going to come, he is obviously going to come, but when is this going to happen? Also, we see that what we want from the dhuhr, what do you want from it? Why do you want him to come back? There are people, it says, they asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, قلت لأبي عبد الله alayhi salam, جعلت الفداك متى الفرج? When is the faraj? فقال يا أبا بصير وأنت ممن يريد الدنيا. He tells the companion here, or the person that asks, you are those that wants the dunya. He's saying, when is the faraj? When is the relief going to happen? He says, you are those that wants the dunya. من عرف هذا الأمر فقد فرج عنه الانتظار. So therefore we are taught that whoever is truly has knowledge of this affair, then Allah will remove from him and he will be truly blessed with true intidar, maybe you could say. So we understand that from these narrations that not every type of anticipation or waiting is a good type of waiting. So when asked, the Imam answered to him, you are those that wants the world. So what do you want from the faraj of Imam Mahdi? Is it something just very, something just that it has, is it your own benefit, or maybe your own monetary benefit? Or are there higher things that we are looking for? Or are there other greater goals that Imam Mahdi has? Let's look and refer to the Quran about the way that we should await for Imam Mahdi. See, brothers and sisters, we have the aql, we have the qalb, we have different tools that Allah gave us for guidance, and we have the intellect. So therefore, we see that the aql is used to gain knowledge of things that we cannot see. And it is a higher form of knowledge than of the five senses. Whatever you can use from sense perception, the intellect is 100%. When you look at something that is very basic, that I can make it clear for you. For example, the three, the number three being greater than the number two, for example. Something for our aql tells us, intellect tells us. This is for certain. Three is always greater than two. Three, there's no way that if it's the same thing, that the number two will be greater than three. But when it comes to our sense perception, when I see something with my eyes, when I hear something with my ears, there can be fault, there can be a mistake. It's your eyes see, it's a refraction, that goes and hits your retina at the back of your eye. Maybe there could be an issue, say either with your eyes, or there could be an issue with what you thought you saw, and therefore even seeing something with your own eyes, sometimes there could be a fault. But when it comes to pure aql, when it comes to pure intellect, and I gave that example, or two things that contradict each other, they can't both be right. These are things that are undeniable. So we have to get used to getting our knowledge and living our lives by this greater sense, and we could say holier tool that we have than just senses, empiricism. And one of the falls of mankind has been relying too much on the senses and trying to incorporate inside the scientific method things that only can be proven by philosophical and theological arguments by the intellect. So therefore, higher than the senses is the aql. So for an awaiter for Imam Mahdi, they have to strengthen their aql, they have to strengthen their intellect. They have to live by the intellect, and they have to determine why are they waiting for Imam Mahdi by the intellect. And the aql tells us the best way is to also use the Quran. What does the Quran say about the Faraj? What does the Quran say about waiting for Imam Mahdi? Inshallah, we can serve Imam Mahdi, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Let's look at this verse, and I want you, brothers and sisters, to be familiar with this verse, 2455. You can write it down somewhere and look at it. I'm sure many of you read it, but it's good to read it during these times in Surah Nur, verse 55. Beautiful verse. Over 100 verses, we said, in the Quran, with its interpretation, with the riwayat, are talking about Imam Mahdi. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وعد الله الذين آمنوا منكم وعملوا الصالحات. Allah has promised those who have believed among you and done righteous deeds. ليستخلفنهم في الأرض كما استخلف الذين من قبلهم. That he will surely grant them succession. So there's a wa'd, a promise, a certain promise by God that he will certainly grant them succession to authority, just upon the earth, just as he granted it to them before them. So we have in the tradition, this is referring to Imam Mahdi, that Allah has promised the succession of authority to, just like that he has promised and granted it to those before, just like he has given that kingdom to Prophet Dawood, alayhi salam, Prophet David, and Prophet Sulaiman, and has given him a kingdom that nobody else ever had, and gave him power over the winds and power over animals, and nobody matched his power. Allah will also give power and authority, and also in some aspects, help from the unseen to Imam Mahdi, just how the Prophet of Islam also had help from the unseen, from angels. Also, Imam Mahdi will have help from the unseen. وَلِيُبَدِّلَنَّهُم مِّن بَعْدِ خَوْفِهِمْ أَمْنًا. وَلِيُمَكِّنَنَّ لَهُمْ دِينَهُمْ الَّذِي ارْتَضَىٰ لَهُمْ. And what will happen when Allah gives this authority, this succession, just as he has given it to those before him? You see in the verse that he will surely establish for them their religion, which he has preferred for them. There will be establishment of religion. So this is the first thing that we learn. Our aql says, go to the Quran, and the Quran says, what will happen when Imam Mahdi comes back? There will be establishment of religion. So what does the intellect say when it comes to this? It says, so what is your duty then? So if the goal of that person that you're doing dua for to come back is the establishment of religion. And therefore, also your goal should be for the establishment of religion inside your home, inside your businesses, inside yourselves, that everything you do is in line with the commands of God. Did you remove sin? And I'm talking to myself. Did you remove sin from your lives? And you help others to remove sin from their lives, for them to follow the commands of God. So this is what the intellect is saying. This is how a true person awaits, is they align their minds with the goals of Imam Mahdi. Then you have وَلِيُبَدِّلَنَّهُم مِّن بَعْدِ خَوْفِهِمْ أَمْنًا, and that he will surely substitute for them after their fear, security. He will give them amn. They will be secure. So after that fear and that persecution and the oppression that the world will see, there will be a period of calmness, a period of amn, a period that there will be no more dhulm. And look at some of the traditions about security during the government of Imam Mahdi and how secure things will be, how safe things will be. But anybody can travel at nighttime, say in the most dangerous of roads and paths by themselves. You know, sometimes you're afraid just to, at nighttime in some neighborhoods, just to come out, or some parts of the world, it's very dangerous to travel from one city to another city. But here throughout the world, people will be traveling at night by themselves and nothing will happen. Dhulm will be obliterated. There will be no more oppression. So much so that they say a person, you know, when you wake someone up abruptly and you, for no reason, you see how they panic and then they wake up, they get scared. It says even that type of dhulm, of waking somebody up, you know, and without any, you know, cause for it, you know, just to wake them up, even though that small will be obliterated. Things will be safe. There won't be any more dhulm. So again, you see, for justice, for security, putting things in their proper place, which is the real meaning, because the extended meaning of justice will happen. So when you are a follower of Imam Mahdi, you are looking for religion, establishment of religion, establishment of security and justice, and that those that cause fear in the hearts of children, cause fear in the hearts of different people around the world, that this will be all gone. And then the last thing, so we're using our aql to learn about the objectives of Imam Mahdi. And then we can also, inshallah, take some of this burden that Imam Mahdi has, take off some of this burden and be a part of this, inshallah, uprising, a part of this movement of Imam Mahdi that will happen. يَعْبُدُونَنِي لَا يُشْرِكُونَ بِي شَيْئًا, for they worship me, not associating me with anything. So finally, after these beautiful verses of the Holy Quran, you read this last line, that all of this establishment of religion, security, all of this will come, and this succession to authority will happen so people can worship me and be my servant. La yushrikuna bi shay'a, and nothing else, and not associating anything with me. So imagine what a beautiful time. Inshallah, we will see it. You know, one of the fears that we have is that God separates us from seeing this beautiful government when Prophet Isa alayhi salam will come. It's important to mention this too, that we also believe that Jesus will come back too. And there will be Jesus and Imam Mahdi, and Jesus will play essential roles in this uprising. Jesus will play a very important role in the future, and also with Imam Mahdi. So these two great people coming back and putting things in place after there has been corruption, after there has been dhulm and oppression, and putting things in place. So to answer this question, how can we await for Imam Mahdi? We understand that we can await Imam Mahdi by the intellect, by looking at these verses of the Holy Quran and truly wanting the faraj for what it is, for the real goals of the faraj, which is security, which is establishment of religion, which is removing poverty, and there will be financial security for all. The people will be looking for people to give charity to, and they can't find them. Everybody will have enough to eat, one day. Everybody will have more than enough to eat. What a beautiful world, And I was saying, one of the fears that we have is that we live life and then we die, and we don't see this government. We don't see Imam Mahdi. We don't see Prophet Isa alayhi salam. This is one of the fears that we have. Inshallah, we can see it. And the problem that we have is because we are so busy in our day-to-day schedules. The problem is that we got used to living in this corruption, this life that is separate from God, this life that we're maybe at 1%, 0.5% of our capacity that we have. We got used to injustice. And look in history, and look in the time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when finally the Bani Israel were tired of living in dhulm, living in the displacement of people's rights. Finally, they wanted and they called for Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and Allah gave them Prophet Musa, gave them Moses. Brothers and sisters, if we are used to just waiting for Imam Mahdi and not doing anything about it, and we just want to live our lives, even though we might have apparently a happy life, then we are going to delay his coming. As we have from one of our scholars, Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi, he says, "Wujuduhu lutf," his existence is from the grace of God. وَتَصَرُّفُهُ لُطْفٌ آخَرٌ, and his control, authority over the world is another lutf. وَغَيْبَتُهُ عَنَّا, but his occultation is from us. So the first type of waiting is by the intellect, and that is aligning our goals, our lives for Imam Mahdi. And that every time that you spread knowledge, you're helping one of the goals of Imam Mahdi. Every time you fight injustice, you're helping one of the goals of Imam Mahdi. Every time you're establishing religion, you're helping one of the goals of Imam Mahdi. Every time that you become an abd and you have true servitude and true worship of God, you're helping, because these are the things that Imam Mahdi are going to be coming for. And therefore, intellectually, we're in a way we're preparing for Imam Mahdi ourselves and our society. So everything we do, when you really think of it, a lot of times, we do a lot of du'as, and we forget that sometimes how selfish we are, or how come we're not really open-minded when it comes to du'a. We do a lot of du'as. Say somebody becomes sick, we only do du'a for that one sick person. Ayatollah Mahdi has a nice thing that he says. He says, when you want to do du'a, when you want to do prayer, do du'a al-ma'kus. Do du'a for all of those people that are suffering from that disease. Say somebody is sick, and you only, one person, you only does du'a for that one person, and that's it. Then another person does du'a and says this, "Oh Allah, please, we have this person that is sick, either I am sick or somebody else, but relieve this pain from everybody that has this sickness. Remove the pain." They're feeling, and they're connecting with everybody else that has such a pain or has a disease. What kind of dua do you think would be more important? Which kind of dua would be more accepted? When you do dua that for everybody else that is suffering the same thing. So when it comes to our own preparations for Imam Mahdi, we're not only trying to relieve ourselves and make it something that is very selfish. We're trying to do dua for the faraj. We're trying to feel how all those children right now we're talking, they're children that are starving in the world. Right now, when we're talking, there are bombs falling on people unjustly. And we're talking right now, there are many people that are confused, that don't know what is right. So when you're doing dua for Imam Mahdi, it's not just about you. And even though it is, a part of it is that you will reach completion, but it is about everybody. Everything that you ever did dua for will be answered. When you do dua, when you want good for people, it's either because of the monetary problems that they have. It's either because of health reasons, either because, emotional issues, or I don't know, whatever type of psychological issues, or it's either because of religious issues, spiritual issues, all of these will be removed. You're talking about doing dua for the solution that everybody will be able to benefit and reach completion, inshallah. So this is the first type of awaiting. Let's await for Imam Mahdi intellectually. Let's await for Imam Mahdi and know that everything that we want to do in our lives is for Imam Mahdi. That if you go to work, in a way, it is for God, but in the back of your mind is, I'm doing this to help, to help remove poverty, to help one of the goals of Imam Mahdi. This is attributed to Imam Mahdi. When you start to center and you come to Du'a Kumail or different majalis, you're saying, I'm coming to these to promote these ideas of Ahlul Bayt so that people can be prepared for Imam Mahdi. So this is the intellectual awaiter, that he does everything, his entire life has been in a way to serve Imam Mahdi and to bring back his Imam. Compared to a person that, like Iblis, that is doing everything that he can so that Imam Mahdi doesn't come back. Because we have in the traditions, I recommend to look at the book Makyal al-Makarim from Ayatollah Musavi Isfahani, that he mentions in this, that from, he mentions different benefits from doing dua for Imam Mahdi, and in the Qaf, the letter of Qaf, Qatil Iblis, he is the killer of Iblis. He will execute Iblis, he will kill Satan. So do you think Satan wants Imam Mahdi to come back? Do you think Satan will not try to buy himself more time? So to finish this part, all of our intentions, our life, our sleep, if we really think about it, has to be to promote the idea of Mahdawiyat in different ways. And we said either it's by the goals of Imam Mahdi, or it's by Imam Mahdi himself, or it's by the Holy Quran, or it's to about the Holy Prophet of Islam or the successors. All of this is so that society can be prepared for Imam Mahdi to come back. And when he comes back, all of the solutions of society will be solved, inshallah, the world will be solved. The other type of awaiting that we're going to briefly talk about, each one of these topics you could talk about for a very long time, is that what other tool do we have besides the aql? What other tool do we have besides the intellect? God has blessed us and breathed in us with his own soul. And this is the signifying the high rank of humans, that they have a heart. They have a heart that sees, they have a heart that hears. And if that heart is protected, if those barriers are removed, just like your eyes see, your heart will see, but even higher. We talked about the fact that intellectual knowledge from the mind, is greater than knowledge of the senses, is superior. What is more superior to the knowledge of the mind, we could even say? It is metaphysical knowledge, knowledge from the soul, knowledge from the heart. And you see this in the Quran used, that the heart is used as a tool in the Quran also. A tool that can be able to think, a tool that in the hadith we have that can see and hear. And if you kill this heart, someone like me that clings on to the hayat dunya, the worldly life, then that heart will not be able to see metaphysical things. You have to remove yourself from this world, from these attachments, and then that heart will start to work. And how you have Imam Ali alayhi salam, with this heart, he worships God, he sees God, he has yaqeen, he has certainty. If everything else was removed, all the barriers were removed, his iman would not increase. He has that maximum level of iman. So this is the other way, the other tool that we have that is ashraf, holier, superior even to the intellect. And that is knowledge by presence. And that is knowledge by action, knowledge by a spiritual journey that we have. All of you have this, and I'm sure you're watching me. When it comes to very important times in very important places, have you ever felt so convinced about something? When you come to, for example, when you're in Hajj, when you're in Masjid al-Haram, or when you're doing ziyarah of the Ahlul Bayt, or when it's Shahr Ramadan in Laylatul Qadr, you feel something much different. You get a specific connection to God that did not exist before. That is through the heart. That is through the spiritual connection that you have. That is a detailed knowledge. You know, one of the issues with the aql is great, it works. Of course, inshallah, it works for all of us. But the problem is it does kulli things, it does general things. Its weakness is specific things that it will have a weakness to. But you supplement that with knowledge of the spirit, which gives you detailed knowledge. Some people ask, how will you know it's Imam Mahdi when you hear the sirens, when you hear the sayha, when you hear the different signs, the 5 certain signs? How do you know it's Imam Mahdi? Well, first of all, you have knowledge of the traditions, and you know, say for example, the first siren in the sky, you know, is the pure siren, and the second one is wrong, is from the Satan. For example, you have knowledge of traditions, you align the Quran, and you see, is this Imam Mahdi or not? But then one of the other ways is that after you established a connection to the Imam through knowledge by presence, by the heart, you also know that person, you have details of that person's spirit. You'll know that person, how they are. And therefore you already have met him, but your heart has met him. So this is ashraf, this is holier than even the intellect. And that is the purpose of worship. You could say until you reach yaqeen and certainty, if you interpret it this way, you know, the verse, that we worship God so much that you connect to Imam Mahdi so much that you get ma'rifat of the Imam through Nuraniyah. You get knowledge of the Imam through light and nur. There's a group of people, I won't say the complete story because we don't have time. A group of people came to the Holy Prophet of Islam asking who is his successor. And the Holy Prophet of Islam mentions a few verses in the Holy Quran. And then he gives them a test because they were worshippers, they were servants of God. They could do this, they had this ability to do this. He gives them a test and he says, go throughout the ranks of, you know, the rows and those that are in Salat, find the successor yourself, basically. So they walk, they go through by this type of knowledge that I said, by the heart. Understanding the Imam and connecting to the Imam through the soul, through the heart, through knowledge by presence. They walk and walk and walk, and then they find one person. And they come back to the Holy Prophet and says, is this your successor? And the Prophet confirms. And they say that we wanted to move, our legs couldn't move. We felt that he was like our father. We felt something with our heart, with our spirit. And they saw Ali ibn Abi Talib. Just by being pure worshippers, these people from Yemen came, and this is how they, this is actually a beautiful hadith in one of the books of Ghaiba, this is in the book of Al-Ghaiba, not the book of Ghaiba of Tusi, by the Ghaiba of belief of Nu'mani. So then they follow Imam Ali after the Prophet passes away. They follow him and were so sincere to Imam Ali. And they become martyrs in the battles of Siffin during the time of Muawiyah. So this is a way that people met Imam Ali. They knew the successor just by walking and by that connection, that spiritual. Why? Because in this metaphysical world, when it comes to beings in this world, what is the greatest sign of God? What is the greatest sign? Imam Ali has, we have, you know, Ana Ayatullah al-Uzma, I am the greatest sign. I'm the great sign of God. There's no ayah verse greater than me. So how can the spirit not see Ali ibn Abi Talib? We're walking right by him and see anything different. You know, one of the ulama was saying, when you go to some of the places for ziyarat, I think it's Allama Tabatabai. And how do you know if this is a genuine child of the Imam, if this is a genuine shrine? Not the shrines of the infallibles I'm talking about the progeny, the children of the Imams. Those that some don't know much about them, they're kind of unknown. He says, go and see what your spirit says, what your heart says when you sit there and you sit next to that shrine. What does your heart say? When I'm saying this, I'm not saying that I have attained this. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm the weakest when it comes to this. I'm just giving you guidance, inshallah, so that in the day of judgment, inshallah, you can grab my hand and can, inshallah, intercede in my behalf, inshallah. So this is another world. It is a beautiful world, a spiritual world. So we have that intellectual world of connecting to Imam Mahdi and preparing for him. And then there's that awaiter that is the spiritual awaiter. And it is the time of occultation for him. But he is talking to Imam Mahdi. He is in love with Imam Mahdi. He is sending salams to him. One of the ways we can develop this is by consistently doing ziyarah to Imam Mahdi, visiting him. Just how you visit shrines in Karbala, in Mashhad, in different places, visiting Imam Mahdi. Doing ziyarat Ali Yasin on Fridays. So our greatest ulama on Friday afternoons, they recite the ziyarat. How beautiful. And they also commanded the groups when they go to Hajj, in Imam Mahdi, we have traditions that in Hajj every year he's present to do ziyarat of Imam Mahdi because he's right next to you somewhere in Hajj. To have this connection, Assalamu alayka hina taqum. Say this to Imam Mahdi. This is how you reinforce the spiritual connection to Imam Mahdi. You become the waiter, the mystical, the spiritual waiter for Imam Mahdi. Assalamu alayka hina taqum. Peace be upon you while you are standing. Assalamu alayka hina taq'ud. Peace be upon you while you're sitting. Where's Imam Mahdi right now? When he's standing for salat, you could say, or maybe he's sitting for salat, or generally sitting. Assalamu alayka hina taqra wa tubayyin. Peace be upon you when you're reading and explaining. Assalamu alayka hina tusalli wa taqnut. Peace be upon you, Imam Mahdi, when you are praying and supplicating. I want my salams to reach you, Imam Mahdi, when you are in supplication. Is there any better deed than salat? And then, is there any better person to do salat than Imam Mahdi in this world? So I want my salams to Imam Mahdi when you're doing the best of deeds, khayr al-amal. And you are the khayr al-nas, and you are the best of people in this world. When you are supplicating, I say my salams to you. Maybe you will do dua for me. Maybe you will do dua for your orphans of Ala Muhammad, those that have been left behind, those that had not been given the opportunity to see their infallible Imam. They have not seen the Prophet of Islam. They've only read about him in books. But we have conviction, we have certainty. We have not seen Imam Ali alayhi salam, we have not seen Imam Hassan, Lady Fatima alayhi salam, the Holy Five, the Five of the Cloak. But we connect to them. We connect to them. Assalamu alayka hina tarka wa tasjud. I pray upon you, Imam Mahdi, when you are bowing and doing ruku'. In salat, you have one of the most humble sides. Salat is the expression of humility, if you really think of it. Try to design a worship of God and try to think of it. Can you find anything more humble than bowing all the way to ruku' this way, to God, and then going and prostrating and bringing your forehead to the ground, wherever you are, 5 times a day. So more obviously how many rakats you have, but at least in each salat, 5 times a day in salat. So I want my salams to reach you with tasjud when you are doing sujood, when the best of creation, one of the best of creation is doing sujood and is prostrating, which is the greatest sign of humility, the greatest worship of God. I want my salams to you. So maybe Imam Mahdi will do in his sujood, will do dua for us, for our family members, for the world right now. Because the world truly needs Imam Mahdi right now. The youth, the generations that we have, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know our future. We see right now such poverty. We see starvation. We see injustice. We see that mankind has been misguided and has left the worship of God and has begun worship of himself. We truly need Imam Mahdi. So this is the way, brothers and sisters, to wait for Imam Mahdi intellectually, at the same time, spiritually, and establishing that connection to Imam Mahdi, speaking to him throughout the day, doing ziyarats for him, doing actions for him, reciting Quran, giving a gift for him, remembering him, not letting a day pass, inshallah, without thinking of him and doing dua for his faraj. Inshallah, you brothers and sisters, all of us, of the companions of Imam Mahdi. May Allah, inshallah, expedite his return and bless our eyes with seeing him and seeing his government, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ahli bayti at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.